Have you ever wondered why so many musical geniuses left us at the age of 27? We're not just talking about coincidences, but about a sequence as macabre as it is mysterious, spanning generations and fueling unsettling theories. What connects names like Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, and Kurt Cobain? Does the number 27 hold a deeper meaning, or is it merely a dark reflection of the pressures of success? Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I'm Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. Before we dive into this story full of tragedies and enigmas, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue exploring the most hidden secrets for you. Ready to unravel the mysteries of the 27 Club? What is the 27 Club? The 27 Club is one of the most intriguing phenomena in pop culture, a concept that brings together artists who died at the age of 27, many of them at the height of their careers. Man, it's like there's an unspoken pact, and the more you read about it, the creepier it gets. It's not just the coincidence of age that stands out, but the unsettling pattern of geniuses whose lives were marked by intensity, self-destruction, and tragedy. The term gained notoriety in the 1970s after the consecutive deaths of Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Jim Morrison. It gained further traction when Kurt Cobain in 1994 and Amy Winehouse in 2011 also joined the list. Since then, it has become a subject of fascination, surrounded by mystery and speculation. The number 27 seems to carry a symbolic weight, almost as if it were a cursed age for those who live intensely. The club is more than a coincidence. It reflects the pressures, vulnerabilities, and dangers faced by young people who achieve overwhelming success. The abrupt end to their lives has created an aura of mystery that transcends generations. It's as if these artists were chosen to shine brightly but briefly, leaving an unforgettable mark. The impact of these deaths goes beyond the music or art they left behind. It raises questions about how fame and the industry exploit young talent to the breaking point. These artists not only bore the burden of public expectation, but also faced internal struggles that were rarely understood. The 27 Club is a reminder of the price that genius often demands and a reflection of how society romanticizes the suffering of these icons. These artists became symbols of restless and intense youth, as if they lived their lives at a speed the world couldn't keep up with. Each death added a chapter to this legend, creating a narrative that blends the tragic with the extraordinary. Their music and legacies haven't aged, keeping them eternally young and relevant. Yet a persistent question remains. Is the 27 Club just a coincidence or a reflection of something deeper and greater? The fascination with the club lives on, reflecting humanity's desire to find patterns and meaning in seemingly random events. It is both a tragedy and a myth, a reminder that brilliance can be as dangerous as it is dazzling. More than a cultural concept, the 27 Club is a lens through which we observe the complexity of life, fame, and human suffering. The icons of the club, lives interrupted at their peak. The most emblematic members of the 27 Club weren't just musicians. They were cultural icons who defined eras and inspired generations. Jimi Hendrix, often hailed as the greatest guitarist of all time, died in 1970, leaving behind a revolutionary musical legacy. He was found dead in London, having asphyxiated on his own vomit in an incident involving sedatives and alcohol. In the same year, Janis Joplin, known for her powerful voice and magnetic stage presence, died of a heroin overdose. Janis sang as if she were ripping her soul from her chest. You can feel every drop of pain in her voice. Maybe that was a reflection of what she was living through herself. Both were at the peak of their careers, embodying the rebellious and creative spirit of their generation. In 1971, Jim Morrison, lead singer of The Doors, known for his poetic lyrics and hypnotic performances, was found dead in a bathtub in Paris under circumstances that remain unclear to this day. Like Hendrix and Joplin, Morrison represented the counterculture of the 1960s, with his art challenging norms and provoking deep reflection. His death cemented the 27 Club as a cultural phenomenon, uniting personal tragedies into a collective narrative that would echo for decades. 2 decades later, Kurt Cobain, the leader of Nirvana, brought grunge to the mainstream and became the voice of a generation. His battle with depression and heroin addiction culminated in his death in 1994, officially ruled a suicide. Cobain often mentioned in interviews his fascination with the 27 Club, adding a layer of melancholy to his fate. His cultural impact was so profound that his death resonated worldwide, solidifying his status as one of rock's greatest icons. More recently, Amy Winehouse, one of the most distinctive voices in soul music, joined the tragic list. In 2011, she was found dead at her home in London, a victim of alcohol poisoning. Amy was known for her overwhelming talent as well as her vulnerability, which the media relentlessly exploited. Her death reignited the debate about the dangers of fame and the lack of proper support for artists battling addiction and mental health issues. These artists didn't just transform music, they transcended their times, becoming symbols of creativity and tragedy. Their premature deaths cut short careers that seemed destined to continue redefining art and culture. More than just names on a list, they are living legacies that continue to influence generations. Their stories, however, force us to confront the dangers that accompany genius and emotional intensity. The role of the music industry and fame. The music industry plays a central role in the tragedies that comprise the 27 Club by prioritizing profit over the well-being of artists. Many club members were young when they began their careers and were quickly exposed to a level of pressure that few adults can withstand. Grueling tours, exploitative contracts, and constant demands to produce hits created an environment where mental and physical health were neglected. Jimi Hendrix, for instance, often complained about his insane schedule, but his concerns were ignored in the name of profit. This exploitation is not an isolated phenomenon. It reflects a mindset that views artists as commodities. Janis Joplin faced not only the pressure to meet public expectations, but also the additional challenge of being a woman in a male-dominated industry. She often turned to drugs as an escape, a pattern that would repeat with other artists. This dynamic is exacerbated by the lack of emotional and psychological support, making artists even more vulnerable. Kurt Cobain is a clear example of how fame can be a curse. Despite being one of the biggest icons of the 1990s, Cobain frequently expressed discomfort with the constant attention. He described fame as suffocating, something that isolated rather than connected him to the world. His battle with depression was worsened by this sense of alienation, a problem also evident in Amy Winehouse's story. The media relentlessly exploited her vulnerabilities, turning her pain into public spectacle. Seriously, can you imagine the weight of having every mistake plastered across headlines? It's a cruel game where the audience devours the artist alive. The lack of adequate support systems for young artists is a glaring failure of the industry. Many are thrust into stardom without the emotional tools to handle the weight of fame. This neglect contributes to the cycle of self-destruction seen in the stories of the 27 Club. While the industry continues to profit from these artists' talents, it rarely invests in preserving their well-being. This dynamic is an integral part of what makes the 27 Club so tragic. The exploitation of artists' vulnerabilities is not just an industry problem, it is also a cultural issue. The public often consumes the suffering of these figures as entertainment, perpetuating the cycle. The 27 Club is a grim reminder that fame, when not accompanied by support and empathy, can be as dangerous as a double-edged sword. Perhaps it's time to reassess how we treat those who share their talent with the world. Substance abuse and mental health. Substance abuse is a recurring theme among the members of the 27 Club, almost always linked to internal struggles with mental health. Drugs and alcohol were often used by these artists as coping mechanisms to escape the crushing pressure of fame and expectations. Jimi Hendrix, for example, relied on substances to manage the exhausting pace of his career, but this practice culminated in his tragic death. His fatal combination of alcohol and sedatives exemplifies the danger of a lifestyle that intertwines addiction with neglecting one's health. Janis Joplin also struggled with loneliness and the weight of expectations, frequently turning to heroin to numb her emotional pain. Her overdose marked the climax of years battling an addiction she tried, unsuccessfully, to overcome. Kurt Cobain, in turn, dealt with chronic depression and anxiety disorders, which he described as unbearable. Cobain was like a mirror of his generation, brilliant but utterly drained. He used to say he didn't want to be an icon, but he had no choice. Heroin became his means of escape, but it also exacerbated his mental health issues, leading to his final collapse. Amy Winehouse, another tragic case, was a constant target of the media, which turned her relapses and personal struggles into sensational headlines. Her excessive alcohol consumption was a response to the loneliness and stress she faced, but also became a deadly trap. Although Amy sought help in rehabilitation clinics, the lack of adequate, continuous support ultimately resulted in her premature death. Each of these stories reflects how the combination of psychological issues and addiction can be devastating. In Hendrix and Joplin's era, discussing mental health was practically taboo, preventing many of these artists from receiving help. Decades later, despite advances in awareness, cases like Cobain's and Winehouse's show that adequate support remains a gap in many artists' lives. What all these members of the 27 Club have in common is that they fought internal demons in an environment that often pushed them toward isolation. These examples remind us that substance abuse is rarely the problem itself, but rather a symptom of deeper issues. Without adequate psychological support and effective intervention systems, artists become easy prey for addiction. The 27 Club underscores the importance of treating mental health seriously, especially in a world that often romanticizes the pain and suffering of public figures. Numerology and Mysticism, the age of 27. Numerology and mysticism often enter the discussion about the 27 Club, adding a symbolic layer to the phenomenon. According to numerology, the number 27 represents the sum of 2 and 7, which equals 9, a number associated with the end of cycles and renewal. Now you're telling me numerology is involved? Sounds like a movie script, but who knows, right? For many, the age of 27 symbolizes a critical moment of transition, a threshold between youth and maturity. In the context of the club, this meaning takes on additional weight, as if these artists had reached a point where their lives could not progress further. Another frequently mentioned mystical explanation is the Saturn return, an astrological event occurring around the age of 27. This phenomenon is associated with periods of transformation and significant challenges, forcing individuals to confront their life choices. For the members of the club, already living under intense emotional conditions, the Saturn return may have amplified existential crises, contributing to their tragic outcomes. This idea is widely explored by mystics who believe the number 27 carries a unique energy. Some believe that the members of the 27 Club were old souls, destined to live intensely but for a short time. This romanticized notion suggests that these artists channeled emotions and creativity in ways that drained them faster than ordinary people. Although this idea lacks scientific basis, it reflects the perception that their bright but brief lives were connected to something greater. For many fans, this belief helps make sense of such abrupt and painful losses. There is also a symbolic interpretation tied to creative peaks. Many 27 Club members produce their most influential works around the age of 27, as if this were the pinnacle of their artistic journey. The intensity with which they lived and created may have contributed to the feeling that they were destined to stop at that point. For those who believe in mysticism, the number 27 encapsulates the essence of these stories, uniting brilliance, pain, and transition. Regardless of mystical beliefs, the age of 27 has acquired an almost mythological significance due to these tragedies. It is seen as a watershed moment, both in numerology and the collective imagination. The 27 Club, therefore, is not just a coincidence. It also reflects our quest for explanations for events that defy logic and evoke deep emotions. The science behind the 27 Club. While mysticism is intriguing, science offers practical explanations for the phenomenon of the 27 Club. Neuroscience points out that the prefrontal cortex, responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making, is still developing until around the age of 25 to 30. This means young adults may be more impulsive and less capable of assessing risks effectively. For artists living under intense pressure, this neurological vulnerability can be a significant factor in destructive choices. Moreover, there is the psychological impact of achieving success at an early age. Many 27 Club members began their careers as teenagers and quickly faced the pressures of fame, something most people experience much later in life, if at all. This early success creates an environment of chronic stress, which, combined with a lack of emotional support, can lead to mental and physical breakdowns. For some, substance abuse becomes a way to cope with this reality. Studies show that creative individuals are more likely to suffer from mental disorders, such as depression and bipolar disorder. This line between brilliance and fragility is too thin. It seems like the brighter the light, the harder the fall. This is known as the adverse selection hypothesis, which suggests that the same traits driving creativity also make these individuals more vulnerable to self-destructive behaviors. In the case of 27 Club artists, this combination of brilliance and psychological fragility may have been a key factor in their destinies. Another important aspect is the easy access to drugs and alcohol, something common in the entertainment world. Famous artists often find themselves in environments where substance abuse is normalized or even encouraged. For those already grappling with psychological issues, this availability can be fatal. The stories of Hendrix, Joplin, and Cobain illustrate how these environments often exacerbate pre-existing problems instead of offering support or intervention. Science, therefore, does not view the 27 Club as a coincidence, but as a convergence of biological, psychological, and social factors. Although it does not fully explain the phenomenon, it provides a logical basis for understanding why this age is so significant. For artists living on the edge, 27 can be a critical point where natural vulnerabilities are amplified by external circumstances, leading to tragic consequences. The most mysterious deaths. Some of the deaths in the 27 Club continue to spark debates and conspiracy theories due to the murky circumstances surrounding them. Jim Morrison, lead singer of The Doors, is perhaps one of the most emblematic cases. He was found dead in a bathtub in Paris in 1971, but the lack of an official autopsy left many questions unanswered. Jim Morrison, found in the bathtub. To this day, no one knows what really happened. It seems like a mystery worthy of his lyrics. Inconsistent accounts of his final hours have led to theories ranging from accidental overdose to murder, and even the idea that he faked his own death to escape fame. Jimi Hendrix, another 27 Club icon, also met a mysterious end. Officially, he died of asphyxiation after choking on his own vomit following the consumption of wine and sedatives. However, witnesses noted discrepancies at the scene. The delay in medical assistance and the large amount of wine found in his body fueled speculations of negligence or even a possible conspiracy. Some believe Hendrix may have been in conflict with his record label or involved in political issues that made him a target. Kurt Cobain, meanwhile, was officially recorded as having died by suicide in 1994, but many fans and independent investigators disagree with this conclusion. The high level of heroin in his system, combined with inconsistencies at the crime scene, raised suspicions of murder. Cobain's farewell note is also frequently analyzed, with parts interpreted as possible forgeries. Documentaries and books on the case continue to fuel the debate, keeping the mystery surrounding his death alive to this day. Amy Winehouse, who died in 2011, also left lingering questions. Although the official cause was alcohol poisoning, the circumstances of her death raised doubts. Amy had shown signs of recovery in the preceding months, making her sudden relapse even more tragic and enigmatic. Some speculate whether inadequate follow-up during her rehabilitation contributed to her death, or if other factors were overlooked. These mysterious deaths not only perpetuate the fascination with the 27 Club, but also reflect how intense and turbulent lives can end abruptly and inexplicably. What truly happened to these artists may never be fully clarified, but their stories continue to intrigue the public, fueling the mythology of the club and raising enduring questions about the cost of genius. The romantic aura of tragedy, death and immortality in the world of art. The 27 Club is not merely a list of tragedies. It also symbolizes the cultural connection between genius and suffering. These artists, who died young, achieved an almost mythical status, eternally remembered at their creative peak. Their deaths cut short brilliant careers, preventing them from being marked by the decay or common mistakes of maturity. They remain frozen in time as icons of youth, rebellion, and intensity, feeding the public's fascination. Jim Morrison is often compared to romantic poets like Lord Byron, whose short life was also marked by scandals and overwhelming creativity. Similarly, Kurt Cobain became the face of a generation that identified with his pain and alienation. Their deaths transformed them into cultural martyrs, figures who transcended music to become symbols of their eras. This romanticization creates a powerful emotional bond between artists and their fans, who see them as tragic heroes. However, this idealization of tragedy is dangerous. It reinforces the idea that suffering is a necessary condition for genius, often leading young artists to romanticize destructive behaviors. Amy Winehouse was frequently portrayed as a tragic diva, a stereotype that ignored her real struggles and turned them into entertainment. Turning suffering into entertainment is something we've always done. But seriously, isn't it time to stop? This perpetuates a cycle in which the pain of artists is consumed by the public as part of their personal brand. Moreover, dying at their peak prevents us from witnessing the potential evolution of these artists. Jimi Hendrix, for example, was exploring new musical styles before his death, and Kurt Cobain had expressed interest in moving beyond grunge to explore other influences. What could they have created if they had lived longer? These unanswered questions only add to the mystery and fascination surrounding their lives and deaths. The romantic aura of the 27 Club is ultimately a reflection of our cultural obsession with youth, intensity, and glory. These artists lived fast, died young, and left an immeasurable impact. But while we celebrate their works, we must also question the role society plays in creating and perpetuating the myths surrounding them. After all, is the 27 Club merely a reflection of their tragedies, or of our way of consuming them? Artists who escape the club, luck or choices. While the 27 Club is marked by tragedies, there are artists who face similar circumstances but manage to escape a fatal destiny. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones is an iconic example. Keith Richards is practically a walking miracle. If there's a formula for dodging the 27 Club, he discovered it. Known for his excessive drug use in the 60s and 70s, Richards admits that he survived more by luck than by design. Despite decades of substance abuse, he drastically reduced his vices, which likely prolonged both his life and his career. Ozzy Osbourne also had a journey marked by excess, but he found strength to seek help during critical moments. He underwent several stints in rehab and attributes his survival to the continuous support of his family, especially his wife, Sharon Osbourne. Unlike many members of the 27 Club, Ozzy had a support network that intervened at the right times, helping him find balance. Some artists who escaped the 27 Club credit their survival to conscious choices. Many recount moments of epiphany when they realized they needed to change their paths. Keith Richards, for instance, drastically cut back on drug use after recognizing the physical and emotional toll it was taking on him. These decisions, though difficult, often mean the difference between life and death. Chance also plays a role. Many artists survived overdoses or life-threatening situations simply because someone was there to help or they received aid in time. These fortuitous circumstances highlight how unpredictable fate can be, especially in an environment where substance abuse is common. For every tragedy in the 27 Club, there are stories of survival that defy the odds. These survivors remind us that not all artists are doomed to a tragic fate. They are living proof that it is possible to overcome the pressures of fame and find balance, even in a world that often seems to conspire against them. At the same time, their stories emphasize the importance of support networks, conscious choices, and timely interventions to prevent brilliant talents from being lost forever. The relevance of the 27 Club today. Decades after the deaths of Hendrix, Joplin, and Morrison, the 27 Club remains relevant as a symbol of the dangers of early success. It is not just a reminder of past tragedies, but also a warning about the challenges contemporary artists continue to face. In a world where public exposure is even more intense due to social media, the pressure on young artists is greater than ever, making the lessons of the club extremely current. Artists like Billie Eilish have openly discussed the difficulties of dealing with fame, highlighting how the issues faced by members of the 27 Club persist. Today, exposure is constant, and every mistake or weakness is amplified for a global audience. This relentless scrutiny can be just as damaging as the factors that contributed to past deaths, putting new artists in equally precarious situations. The 27 Club also continues to inspire cultural and academic discussions, being the subject of books, documentaries, and psychological studies. It raises questions about the impact of fame on mental health and how the music industry treats its talents. For new generations, discovering the stories of these artists is an experience that continues to captivate, keeping the club's relevance alive in pop culture. Although awareness of mental health has improved, much remains to be done to protect young talents. The entertainment industry must prioritize the well-being of its artists by offering proper support and creating safer environments. The legacy of the 27 Club is a painful reminder that genius should not be synonymous with suffering, and that preventive measures are crucial. The 27 Club transcends time, remaining a symbol of tragedy, genius, and human vulnerability. Perhaps the 27 Club is more than a coincidence. Perhaps it's a reminder that even the greatest geniuses are, in the end, as human as we are. It forces us to reflect on the dangers of fame and the importance of supporting those who live under the spotlight. Ultimately, its relevance lies in its power to remind us that talent should not be consumed so quickly, and that each life cut short leaves a void that can never be filled. The 27 Club is not just a list of coincidences. It is a mirror reflecting the pressures that accompany genius and fame. The lives of these artists were tragically cut short, but their stories continue to inspire, intrigue, and warn us. With every new name added to this list, the mystery deepens. Is the 27 Club a macabre coincidence or a reminder of something much larger? This story is just one piece, and one day perhaps we'll see the whole puzzle. If this made you think, subscribe and like the video. It helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share it. After all, more voices mean more discoveries. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this mystery captivated you. But I bet you haven't seen everything yet. Click on the next videos now to continue your journey into the unknown. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets I'm about to reveal. But be careful, once you step inside, there's no turning back.